He tells her, ma'am, I need you to step back now so that we can work. And so now one of the paramedics gets a chance to take over compressions while the other one pulls out a thin digital thermometer and he gently inserts it into Parker's ear canal and he holds it there until it made this beep sound. He looks at the device and his whole body just tenses up. He glances over at his partner who's doing compressions and he goes, guys, it's 108. The other paramedic stops mid-compression and he looks up and he goes, wait, what? And he says it again. Her temperature is 108 degrees. Everyone in that room knows exactly what that means. That temperature is not compatible with life. Nobody survives that kind of internal temperature. But not wanting to waste more time, they quickly lift Parker into a stretcher and they bring her to the back of the ambulance. And Erica, she climbs in as well, but Turd couldn't go with them because he technically had to be with the other girls. And plus, this is now a potential murder scene. So legally, he has to stay put. Now inside the ambulance, these guys have their sirens blasting as they're rushing to get to the hospital because right now, every second that they waste is a risk that Parker may not make it. But Erica, although still hopeful and praying for a miracle, she knows. I mean, she's a doctor. She works with this stuff every day. She knows that 108 degrees means that even if they somehow, by some miracle, get her heart beating again, her daughter's brain is not going to make it. But eventually, they arrive at Barner University Medical Center, which is the same hospital that Erica works at. And her coworkers see her rush inside, but their faces completely drop because immediately they can sense the energy. Something's not right here. Doctors and nurses surround Parker, moving her to a trauma bay, and they keep on doing compressions. They're injecting her with medications, basically doing everything in their power to bring her back to life. But after what must have felt like an eternity, but it was probably only like 20 or 30 minutes, the lead doctor looks at the clock and then he looks at everyone else in the room. He takes a deep breath and says, time of death, 5:04 p.m. And just like that, Parker is gone. And Erica, this woman who has spent years in the operating room, who has seen people die before, who is trained to stay calm in emergencies, just lets out this scream, this primal gut-wrenching scream. Meanwhile, back at the house, police cars are pulling up and Turd sees them coming and he knows he's screwed. A couple of officers get out of the car and they walk up the driveway and Turd is still crying, shaking his head, saying over and over, no, I didn't mean to. I swear to God, I didn't mean to. And after calming him down a little, these officers try to sit him down to gather some more information as to what could have happened. And Turd, still crying, wipes his nose with his hand and he quickly realizes, wait a minute, if I tell these cops that I got home at like 12:53, then they'll know I left Parker in that car for 3 whole hours. So instead, he tells them that he got home at like 2:45. And that's when he noticed that Parker was still sleeping and he didn't want to wake her up, so he just left her in the car with the AC on. But he was very adamant on the fact that he only left Parker in that car for like 30 or 45 minutes. And the officer questioning him is writing all of this down in his notebook, but he is already doing some math in his head. And so he glances at his watch and it's reading like 4:30 p.m. And in his mind, he's thinking, hold on, 40 minutes from 2:30 isn't 4 o'clock, which was the time that Erica got home and noticed that Parker was missing. And on top of that, when officers walked over to the neighbor who had brought the girls home from the park, she clearly had a different timeline than what Turd was saying. The neighbor said that she brought the kids back home at 1 o'clock and that Turd was definitely there. So that 2:30 p.m. he was talking about, now they're pretty sure he's lying about it. But as of right now, they can't be like 100% sure that he is lying because you never know who's actually telling the truth here. Maybe they both suck at checking their time. So to make sure that everything was lined up, they decided to check one of the neighbors who had security cameras pointed directly at the home. And as these detectives are watching the surveillance footage, they see Turd's Acura pulling into the driveway, not at 2:30 like he said, but at 12:53. And they see that the only time he went outside to check on Parker was at around 4 p.m. when Erica arrived. So now they absolutely know that he's lying about everything. And so 3 days later, they get a warrant and they show up to his house. They knock on the door and Erica answers and they ask if Turd can come outside. And so he comes out the door and that's when they tell him that based on their investigation, they are going to charge him for the murder of Parker. And the moment he hears those words, he just drops to his knees and starts screaming and crying, no, just complete BS in my eyes. Meanwhile, Erica is over here wrapping her arms around him and rubbing his back saying, it's okay. That just pissed me off. And so they officially cuff him and they start walking him into the police car. But as they're leaving, Turd's mother, who just happened to be there also, she starts screaming at the cop cops. You have no heart. You have no heart. And I'm like, ma'am, your son was just playing tug of war with his pickle while his daughter was inside of a car for hours. Why are you mad at the cops? Anyways, they eventually drag his sorry ass self into the back of the police car and they drive away. And that same night, Turd has his very first court appearance. And during that trial, Erica had the nerve to walk up to the courtroom and say, Your Honor, this was a terrible, terrible mistake, a big mistake. My husband is an amazing father. She then went on to say that he has never been in trouble before, that he has only been arrested for a DUI, but that was like 15 years ago. And ever since that, he has had no prior incidents with the kids. And I'm sitting here reading all of this information and I'm like, no prior incident? Lady, there are messages of you begging your man to stop driving under the influence with your children. What do you mean no prior incidents? And there are also messages of you telling him to stop leaving the kids in the car. This is stressing me out and I'm not even there. And this woman, she knows all of this information and she is still trying to keep this man out of jail. Some people will say that that's love, but honestly, I don't care. She is evil right along with him. And this judge is pissed off too because why? Why with all of this evidence does she still release him and let him walk free? Apparently her excuse was that while they waited for the verdict, he would go home and grieve with his wife and kids. But I'm like, grieve what? He's the reason why you're in this position. Now, I will say this doesn't mean that he is a free man per se. It just means that while he waited for his next court date, he would be able to go home instead of be behind bars. And while waiting for his trial, Turd decides to go